Good morning, everyone. It is not that early in the morning, but I just woke up, which explains the hair. And, well, messy hair don't care. So, regarding all this Charlie Kirk stuff, the fact that he got assassinated, everybody was putting out that the assassinator was a conservative. It turns out that the assassinator was actually raised by conservatives, but there is no proof, and I've been looking for this. There is no proof that he is from the far left. There's no proof that he's actually from the far right. But there is proof that he is another white man with a mental health diagnosis, most likely that was never checked, and owns a gun. And that always brings up the conversation of why are people with a mental health diagnosis that has not been looked at, diagnosed, what have you, still allowed to buy guns? Well, the only person we got to thank for that is the idiot in office that you motherfuckers voted for. So you get angry at yourselves, please. Okay, you need to sit the fuck down and get angry at yourselves. Many of you agreed with that. I know that many people say when they vote for someone, oh, I didn't vote for this. Yes, you did. One of the many things I've had to learn when I voted for Kamala, and yes, I was proud, and I still wanted her to win, please, was despite the fact that there was a genocide and still a genocide happening in Palestine, and yes, there's a genocide happening in Palestine, people. Oh, did you know Charlie Kirk didn't call that a genocide? Also said that they don't exist? Yeah, the Palestinians, that is. That was not taken out of context, by the way. Yeah. Despite the fact that I did not vote for that genocide, I adopted the policy. Because I was voting for her. Okay. You voted for Trump, you adopted all his fucked up policies, including being okay with him being in the Epstein files. That's what I want to put there. Now, regarding this whole situation with Charlie Kirk being assassinated, the fact that this guy was raised by conservative right-wing people is also, we don't know how deep that went. I mean, his dad was a cop and a pastor. That doesn't mean that every place and household, a person who has a cop and a pastor as a father is going to be a bad situation. But in this case, going all the way conservative, and they were huge Trump supporters, I'm kind of leaning that it might have been an interesting upbringing. But I don't know. I wasn't raised by them. I was raised by conservatives. I'm the only person that is not. And it wasn't because I was radicalized when I left the home. I was never a conservative. Long story short, my advocacy started at the age of 15 for the LGBTQIA community. I've been advocating for them since then. Since my late uncle, who died of AIDS, a disease that Reagan decided to give a sexual orientation to when a virus doesn't have one, okay? He died in 1993. He came out to me when I was 15 years old. And since then, it turned my world. And I opened my eyes to a lot of the atrocities happening to a community of people who didn't deserve it. Nobody deserves an atrocity. Well, you know what? I got to take that back, because that would just make me look like a hypocrite, wouldn't it? And I have to own that. Okay. I think we all reap what we sow, right? And Charlie Kirk reaped it. I mean, big time. The stuff that he was preaching wasn't cool. It was very, very... It was so believable that people were hurting communities of people. And I just have to ask you all, do you think when Hitler killed himself, people were like, oh, fuck, he was such a good guy? No. When Hitler killed himself, people fucking celebrated. Okay? And you have to look at it that way. And I know you people don't want to see this whole administration nowhere near Nazi Germany, because you guys put out that stupid meme that is filled with so much false propaganda. It's ridiculous. It's also historically wrong. When I call people Nazis, it's not senseless. Okay, when I call people Nazis, it's because I am likening them to to the content of the character of World War II German Nazis, who treated those who were considered vermin to them like vermin. In this case, it's immigrants and LGBTQIA people, mostly the trans community, brown people, poor people, but mostly immigrants and the trans community. They are the low-hanging fruit, right? They're the ones that Trump thinks are the only mentally ill people, you know, he wants to take rights from. And that really says a lot about your leader. It says that he is not grounded. So, going back to the whole Charlie Kirk assassination, there are so many comparisons going around, it's ridiculous. He was not a civil rights leader. So why are people saying this is like the assassination of MLK? He was not a fucking civil rights leader. Let's see, what else? He was also not an indigenous woman. There's some white women around putting the red, thing on their face that means that they've been silenced. I'm sorry, fuck off with that shit. You're appropriating indigenous culture that is about women, indigenous women getting kidnapped, sex trafficked, murdered, the murder of them, and people are silencing them because nobody gives a fuck. Nobody looks for them, okay? And you're appropriating that shit? Shame on you, you piece of shit. Yeah, that's what you are. That's what I liken to Nazis. You understand now, people? It's not senseless. It's people who are missing their soul and their compassion for what's actually going on, which is innocent communities of people are being persecuted. People are getting kidnapped off the streets. It doesn't matter if they're citizens or not. They are people. Okay? And you guys are mourning the death of someone who hurt so many of those people with his words. He dedicated his life to hurting people with his words. So sit with that. You can threaten my life, you can whatever it is. At the end of the day, you have to live with the fact that you are grieving the death of a person who basically made his life, who dedicated his life to hate speech and propaganda, dehumanizing communities of people that this piece of shit in office considers vermin. Live with that. My conscience is clear. I've held myself accountable. Because, like I said, even though I voted for Kamala and still would in a heartbeat, because none of this shit would be happening, Charlie Kirk would still be alive, by the way, just so you know, if Kamala was in office. Probably would still be alive. Is that I know that I have held myself accountable about the fact that, yeah, even though I voted for Kamala, I knew that there was a genocide in Palestine, and she wasn't exactly not supportive of it. Okay, so let's be honest about that. But I'd still vote for her in a heartbeat. Because they were also trying to figure out how to end all of that. And a lot of people did not think that would happen. You thought that this person in office would... Now, that guy wants to turn it into a fucking resort. Okay? Live with that. But hold yourselves accountable for some of the things you voted for. Hold yourselves accountable. Because I guarantee if Kamala was in office, Charlie Kirk would still be on this earth.